afternoon. It is August 21st, 2018. You're listening to A Little Column A, A Little Column B, hosted by Will Levinos and co-hosted by Zach Bishop. How you doing today, buddy?
What is going on? We are back.
Yeah, we're back again, and I think we should just change the show name to that. It's just we're back. It's us again. Hi. You know, like movie titles are just common phrases now. Like, sorry to bother you. You know, hey, we're back.
Oh, we're back.
We're back. We're back.
We're back on. We're back. That might be a little confusing.
Well, we're back, and we're getting closer and closer to sports coming back to our regular lifestyles, and I can't wait for it. And I'm sure a lot of the listeners are probably waiting for our podcast to pick up with a much better topics. But we got a lot of good topics today, so I promise today's show will be a wide variety of things. But, you know, let's kick off with some football stuff. Football making some very serious changes, both in, well, I suppose college isn't changing too much, but the NFL is making some serious rule changes. Do you want to talk about how college is not changing or how the NFL is changing?
We'll start off with a little bit of the NFL.
A little bit of the NFL. What do we got? What's going on?
The past couple of years, and maybe even a little more than the past couple of years, there's been the catch rule. What's the catch rule? What do you have to do? And one of the big things was you had to survive the ground. So that meant that you could catch it, get 2 feet in bounds, and then you fall down, and then you sort of bobble it as, you know, you're going 100 miles an hour and you fall on your shoulder really hard. They're getting rid of that. They're trying to simplify it and make it a 3-step process. The player must establish control of the ball, so you can't bobble it. Okay, gotcha. The player must establish himself in bounds. Okay, so you gotta get 2 feet in bounds, or there must be a football move. So you get it, and then there's a third step. There's a dive. There's a lunge. Trying to make it into the end zone. I think this could work. I think there was some problems in the past, and I think that trying to survive it all the way through the ground was a little overkill. I'm hoping that.
It's so opinionated.
I'm hoping that with the three, like, hey, here are the 3. 1, 2, 3. Has to be one of these 3 things, or it has to be kind of 2 of these 3 things. Then you're good, and then we all know that. I think that was kind of part of it. Was we were all watching, and we as fans were thinking, yes, that's the catch, and then the referee and they would go through the review and say, no, that's not a catch, and so. I think just a big part of this is making sure that we know what the rules are, so when we see something, we know what to expect.
The biggest problem with all this is that there is a problem, and it's undeniable. There's clearly some issues for what is and what isn't. It was hard for referees. It's hard for fans. It's got to be hard for players and coaches. It was hard for everyone involved. But they keep tweaking this, and I don't know if we're getting closer and closer to making life easier at all. I think it's really becoming more and more difficult for everyone right now to really know what a catch is. And at some point, you have to just say, this is what it is, let's just roll with that. But we really don't know yet. It all sounds good, and I feel like it's a good move that they had to make some sort of adjustments. But until I see it in actual execution, in the very, very close, gutsy plays that are 50-50, until those start coming out and being decided again, I'm really not. It's no news to me. It means nothing. I don't know. Or, like, is the Des Bryant a catch? Is that a catch under these rules, or is that a drop?
I would like them to go by a case by case and let me know. Yeah, that would be helpful.
I think that's what these rules have to be now.
Yeah, and not to go back and say, oh no, this should have been this way. More of a, under these rules, this is how it's going to be. If this exact play happens, it's a catch. This is not a catch. And I think that would just be helpful for everybody.
The referee training or whatever sort of seminars they have in preparation for the year, because they do minor rule changes almost every year, I feel like. And the only people that know about them are the real referees. So whatever seminars or training centers or whatever programs they have these referees going through, they have to be showing them these plays, right? Like that Des Bryant play has to be played this year, right? When they made these rule changes, just to say, this is what we want to do. This is how we think this is the right way to work this out. But I really don't know who's in charge anymore. I would think
so, and I would think that catch would count just on the 3 rules. He caught it. He did not bobble it. he established he got 2 feet down, and then the third one was you have to make a football move, and one of those could be a third step or a dive or a lunge, and he kind of did all three of those. I think caught it. I don't know if he quite got another step in, but there was for sure a dive slash lunge. I don't know exactly how you wanna
It felt like there
how
was a
you wanna
football
call it.
move at the end of it.
Yes, I agree.
But
So
it's
that's
all
on
right. So
offense.
that's the first change right there. That's kind of the big one, of which we've heard a change like that every year, and every year there's still some sort of conflict. So I'll hold my breath right now in hopes that this, kind of solves itself and that they can finally just stick to a rule. Because that's the other thing, is they haven't stuck to a rule now. Where if unless you're like
Because
a
we don't know.
super
No one knows what the rules are. It's
well,
all over the place. So you gotta make it simple.
at some point it has to be, a catch is a catch. A basketball hoop is a hoop. All right. It has to
Yeah.
be set in stone at some point. We have to just accept it for what it is and stop trying to tweak it.
Yep. Yep. That way it's a little cleaner.
Uh,
So that's where they're trying to make a rule that's been complicated, trying to make that more simple. Now the next one is a rule that's already been a little complicated, and they're trying to make a safety uh, uh, fix, but might make this more complicated. We've definitely seen in the preseason that's making it more complicated. Is leading with the head and initiating helmet-to-helmet contact is now a 15-yard personal foul penalty and a possible ejection. This rule applies to tacklers, ball carriers, and linemen. So this isn't just in the past it's been more of a defensive guy hitting an offensive guy. This could be the running back has got the ball, a guy's getting ready to tackle him, and he lowers the hit on him, lowers his head. So they're trying to make a safety fix here, but we've seen in the preseason that there's been some issues, and I think that we're almost coming almost exactly where we're on the catch rule of we just need to know what the rule is, so I know when I'm watching it, I know if was it a penalty or not.
it, I don't know. Part of me thinks that when you signed up for this sport, especially at a professional career where you're being paid, that you have to know every career has some sort of risks. I think getting hurt or getting some sort of concussion or any sort of, whatever, development and issues from prolonged from this or immediate occur from this, you have to just kind of accept going into it. I don't think there's no scenario where this is going to be a safe sport. This is not a safe career, all right? This is not a healthy career. And they keep trying to tweak that I think it's for an image thing. I don't know why are we constantly tweaking all this? I think there's certain hits that we
Um,
need to get rid of, and they've done a good job of that. But now they're really trying to pad everything up here and make it a safe sport. This will never be a safe sport. It's a contact sport. You
I
wear
think
you wear
that
pads, you wear helmets.
I think maybe publicly this slant would be, oh, yep, this is a safety thing. I think this is more a money thing, and the league got sued, and if they're not careful, will get sued again if there's no evidence they're trying to make it safer. I agree with you that it's never going to be 100% safe, but I definitely think that getting those receivers going over the middle, he's going up for the ball, and then as he's coming down, a defensive back or a linebacker comes and like just absolutely like rings his bell, just helmet to helmet, just like trying to knock the guy out. I think that they've been getting rid of that, and that's not going to stop me from watching football and being like, oh, it's too soft. It's like, no, when the guy's lying on the ground for 10 minutes afterwards, that's not good for anybody.
Yeah, I
So I
just
think
gotta.
there's like there's a nice middle ground of, like you said, this is a dangerous sport, but also making it so, hey, we don't have to make it super dangerous. Like, with like NASCAR racing, that's dangerous, but you put stuff in place to make it as safe as possible going 200 miles an hour.
Well, at some point, I feel like you have to just acknowledge that a lot of these previous old histories, especially a lot of the lawsuits that the NFL received in loss, I think it was the knowledge of concussions just alone. Nobody knew. They kind of just thought, "Hey, are you okay?" And if you said, "Yeah, I think I can play," they're like, "All right, well, we'll go give it a shot." Now it's like, I don't care if you say you're okay. I know you're not. Uh,
Yeah,
so I think just knowing that alone, you're gonna still have those big hits. You're still gonna have concussions in football. I think you avoid the future lawsuit by just the pure knowledge of that, of just saying, no, I can't send this guy back in.
I
why
think
are
that
we?
helps.
Yeah, well, why are we making rule changes and doing that? We have the knowledge. We know what's wrong with it. It's never going to be a perfect sport of you're never going to get
to
hurt.
try to to try to prevent the concussions in the first place. And like I said, I think that it's a money thing, and this is a very clear. Hey, in 2018, we tried to like these are the steps that we put in place to make this safer. Here's what we put in place in 2017. Here's what we put in place in 2019, and you can like establish. Like, I'm thinking, like a lawyer would think, like, hey, here's a pattern that's been established of, hey, we're trying to make this safer. You can't say that we just ignored it and we didn't care about concussions or player safety. Like, here are the steps that we took. You know,
All right. Well, yeah, as a fan, I'm very proud of the NFL for taking the responsible, mature route of indecisive ruling and making a sport really nothing like it's supposed to be. But whatever. They're gonna get their money. The people are still gonna watch it. I'm still gonna play fantasy. I'm still gonna be excited for the year. I'm still counting down the days till we get that first game. So I suppose even with all the issues I raise, I'm still not turned off enough to stop watching. And I suppose that'll still be the majority of people, and that's why they can do these sort of things. But I'm still up in hands in the air right now of frustration with the catch rule and the contact that they're trying to remove from the game. But there's one more rule. What was the last one here? I think this one may be the
yeah,
most
just a
infuriating.
last ones are just a little small one. This is just going to be more, I think, of I don't think aesthetics is quite the right term, but on the kickoff now, in the past, the whole team would line up 5-6 yards back of where the ball was placed, and then as the kicker ran past, they would all take off. Now you can only start 1 yard behind where the ball's set up, so pretty effectively just gets rid of that running start, as well as the and I didn't realize this, but in 2016, the moving the touchbacks to the 25-yard line, which was in effect last year as well,
Yep.
was, like I said, it called an experimental rule. That rule is now permanent, so it's not going to change anything from the last 2 years. But now it's not experimental anymore. I didn't realize that we had some
I,
experimental rules.
I
But
didn't realize that
yeah,
that was a still undecided. See, this is the
yeah,
perfect example of everything
I
I
thought
just
this was
said. That
already
was
permanent.
this is everything that's wrong with the NFL and their rule changes right there. It's just we're just trying this. We're just seeing what it is, and then I feel like you forget about it 2 years later, and you're like, oh yeah, we locked that down. I know we were supposed to have like a conversation to decide this, but we made up our own mind. I don't know. I'm this sport. It's doing a lot of things to try to not get me to watch it. It really is. I feel like they're between both the actual play of it and the frustration of that, and all of the off-field nonsense. I just want football to be football again. Is that too bad? Is that too much to ask for? Can I just get football, or do I have to go to
Like
college?
you said, I bet you and I will both be watching Thursday in the next few weeks.
Well, I suppose I do have other options, but the problem with college is nothing ever changes. Alabama is once again on top. Did they win last
Preseason
year?
number one, third year in a row. Does this do you like this or do you not like this?
I don't know. I think dynasties are healthy. I think the Golden State dynasty is healthy. I think this is healthy. I also think you just need to really appreciate good coaching, and I'm sure the top recruiting definitely has a lot to do with that. But they're going there because he's a good coach, and I think that's proven year in and year out that Saban knows what he's doing. And until somebody else figures out how to do something similar to that or a way to stop him, hey, more power to him for being dominant and I projected number one once again. Now, with that being said, you probably follow this a little bit more in depth than I do. Do you think they'll do it again? Are they actually the true number one? Because it's an easy thing to say that like Alabama's good every year. It's a safe bet. We'll put them up top at number one. These are just projections early, and nothing's happened. Nobody's played. So, do you think Alabama will finish again up top?
I think that that's a both for me to say it and for the AP poll to say it. I It'd be really tough for Alabama to burn you on that. Where some other teams could more likely do that, especially with in college football with so few games. It's like there's really only what three three games for Alabama this year that are really like, ooh, here's where like it could really go wrong. Like in all honesty, of course, like in any game you could get beat, but it's not really.
So
But I hope they don't win.
are you impressed with
They're
the three
the
in a row? Is this a healthy thing for the league? Are dynasties good? We might as well just get into it right now. Are
Oh
dynasties
well, I
good?
mean, just the preseason AP poll is just a little goofy. I mean, they have followed through, which has been the impressive part. The just being the top of the AP poll, that's that's not real. Like that's just a fake. That's a fake thing. This is a fake college football. But once it starts, no, it has been impressive, and I think I am glad that they're put at number one rather than number two. Of just like, yup, they're supposed to be the best again. So just like every week, there'll just be more people as it goes along coming to my side of rooting against Alabama.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you okay with dynasties? Then you didn't answer that. You go okay with Golden State? Are you go okay with Alabama? Is this or do you not want to even get
What
into
do you mean
this?
by okay with it?
If you could change it in any way, like if you could end one or start another or never make it happen again, what would you do?
Well, I want my team. I want my team to have the dynasty. Is what I want.
Okay, so then with that being said, you're okay with somebody else having it out of the chances that you could maybe have it one day.
I guess I'm thinking about it in my head is like at the when you're playing pickup basketball and it's like, oh well, do you like that this other team just wins all the time? It's like, well, no, but it's like it doesn't mean I think that adults or the police should come in and be like, no, you can't do that. It's like, no, this is on me. This is on the other teams to figure out a way to beat them. Everyone's playing by the same rules.
That's very very true. But you could do some salary cap things. I know that doesn't work in college quite as much, but you could definitely establish some sort of recruiting restrictions or something. Which I don't know. That's such a
They
gray
already
area.
have restrictions.
You know what I mean. They could control this if they truly wanted to. It wouldn't make sense, and I don't know why they would. But in the same thing in the NBA, if they really wanted to control some of these more dominant teams like Golden State signing DeMarcus Cousins this year, they could do that. And the NBA has even stepped in before.
How would they have stopped them from signing DeMarcus Cousins?
I have no idea, but they stopped Chris Paul from going. That was like a whole weird situation. He was.
That was because the NBA owned the team. That's completely different.
It's not. It's not.
Ooh, it's completely different because they own the team, which is super goofy, and that is never going to happen again because NBA is doing so well.
Yeah. Well.
But that wasn't like NBA at the top. That was NBA as the team owner that did that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, still, I
So
still think
like that, like
I still
you
think
can't
they
just
could.
like you can't just come up with a rule that says, "Ooh, no, you just can't sign Boogie Cousins." Like you'd have to make it across the board as like I don't know. It could be called the Boogie Cousins rule, but it would have to like apply to all of the teams.
The Boogie Cousins rule. Yeah, lock that down. I want that in Adam Silver's official rule book. Put that down. I could see that being.
And once again, with all the rules, like I said, everyone's playing by the same rules. If another team wanted to sign him, they could have.
Yep. Yeah. No. They had their choice. Everyone else had a chance. I still find it interesting that he didn't re-sign with New Orleans.
I don't think New Orleans was going to offer him. I don't think they offered him any money.
You have to
From
think
all the
they.
from all the reports I'm seeing, like no one's come out and blatantly said, "Hey, this stuff with the Warriors is ridiculous. We offered him $15 million and he turned us down." It's been, I think I may have heard of like a couple, like maybe like Charlotte or something. I don't remember the exact team, but one of like those kind of middle of the road teams from the past few years that said, "Oh yeah, we offered the league minimum," and then it is, what would you do? Here, you can either go play with the defending
Yeah.
champs for this much, or for the same amount, you can go play with this middle of the road team. And like
Well,
that's easy in any industry.
that's the whole argument right there of why dynasties are okay because everyone thinks, well, if I could have it, that's fine. It only sucks when it's happening to someone else. So yeah. I guess all in all, we're okay. It's kind of funny you bring up some of the trades and stuff that could have happened and didn't happen or signing of all that. John Oliver's like kind of highlight of the week. He does like a main topic on Last Week Tonight,
Mm-hmm.
the HBO show, and this week was about trading and the imports and exports. And his opening line was, "Trades, something everybody should be careful and knowledgeable of, or you may end up with Dwight Howard." was his opening line, and as a sports fan, that killed. That was such a funny joke, and they had like a little goofy. They had Dwight in like 10 different uniforms on on the screen like next to him. Super funny. The joke killed. If you're not a fan of John Oliver and Last Week Tonight, I definitely recommend checking it out. If you're trying to keep up to date with all the kind of political state of everything, it's very opinionated. So you'll feel one way or another. I'll say that about it. I'm not really gonna say how I support, but I that just made me think of that opening line right there of trades, something everyone should be knowledgeable in, or you'll end up with Dwight Howard. uh, Speaking of getting old, and Dwight Howard, and I don't know, worst transition ever. You have some story here about some 93-year-old person being arrested for being some super fan of cop TV shows or
She
something.
was she was quote playfully arrested. Yes, this is up in Augusta, Maine. Uh, Annie Dumont arranged for an officer to come out and to show her mother Simone what it's like to be a cop for her 93rd birthday. She's a huge fan of cops, and it just kind of got talking. Be like, I wonder what it's like to get arrested. 93 years old, probably never committed a crime in her life. Is just kind of like, hey, I see this happen on TV. What would this be like in real life? So they the officers came out, kind of spent a little bit of time with her, and put her in the back of the car, gave her a little ride around. She walked away with a with a sticker, and then she posted on her Facebook later that oh she was just super happy, and like it really made her day at 93.
I wonder if she's been breaking the law like her whole life, and she was like, I finally got caught. I can live with it. Like this is the bailout of everything wrong she's did in her whole entire life. This makes it all okay. It's all worth it now. It's a
I don't
it's
know.
a unique wish. I do think there's some sort of bucket list value in the back of a cop car. Now I have no intention of ever fulfilling that, but I do think it's a unique thing that, especially if ends well, it would be cool to say like, yeah, I rode in the back of it and everything was fine. Uh,
Yeah, I think part of it is just that hey, here's everyone's got their favorite TV show, and then there's always the talk of like, oh, would you want to hang out with those characters and like what like be in that area?
I don't know. It's a weird time in our country right now for someone to voluntarily want to be in the back of a cop car for a variety of
True.
reasons of which we won't get into. So I still find that just for 2018 to be really weird. Honestly, it'd be weird in any other year too, but just especially with everything that's going on, that just seems like a strange story
That's
almost.
why I really think that it's more she's not going into like really being arrested and like really being in trouble. It's more like, hey, I watched this show on TV. What's it like to be involved with I think it's more the TV aspect to it.
Well, I,
I could be wrong, but I think because I agree with what you're saying of just like, maybe that's not the best idea.
yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's a really good look for anybody. But if it's that's something an old person wanted and it made them happy, I don't see any problem with the officers, the local county officers, and her family setting up a situation where she could be happy at the age of 93. If that's what it takes, and they're able to do it, why not just do it? Uh, I, I'm I'm not 93, so I don't know. Maybe that's something we will want at the age of 93. Like, hey, you know what we never did? You know what never happened? Maybe the bucket list is checked. Like it's empty now. Like she's did everything. It's all done.
Yeah,
So she's getting creative with
yeah, gotta
some
find something
random
else.
stuff now.
Yeah, getting real creative.
But now one thing, if this were to happen to me in any sort of scenario, I definitely want like a very over dramatic recall black and white reenactment of me being arrested, and it's got to be voiced over by like the crazy like 24 shows that are over dramatic and terribly
Oh, the
acted.
super dramatic.
Yeah. Like like a Tobias Funke kind of reenactment there. Like I want that to be done of my arrest, and I want to have
Okay.
that copy of the film. I want that. And it's got to have a good voice though. Like who would you want to do your voiceover for that? Do you have a name off the top?
Well, now you just stuck Arrested Development in my head, so now I just think like Ron Howard because he's the narrator.
Ooh, Ron Howard's a good one.
I
That
don't,
Ron
I
Howard
don't
makes
know,
sense.
I don't know the name of really any other narrator, and like I said, you just put that in my head, I'm not gonna be able to get it out.
Well, that's a pretty good name right there to begin with. But speaking of voices, Waze, who we're big fans of, the navigation app that just tends to make a lot of good moves, and the changes they're making, I think, are all positive, progressive thing. They have the ride sharing thing, they've got the carpool thing. I feel like they've kind of led the way with the traffic setting to begin with. The new thing they're going to allow you to do is you're able to program your voice to the navigation. And I'm assuming if you can do your voice, you could do anyone else's voice as well, with the right
Yep.
protocol or training or however you set it up. So, how does this work exactly?
Yeah. So sometimes I put topics up here as like, hey, I want to know what Will thinks about this. I think maybe we have some differing opinions. We could really go back and forth. Then there's other stuff of just like, hey, you know what? I want the fans to hear about this. This just sounds fun. This sounds cool. This is one of those things. Just super simple. Yeah, you just like there's literally 6 steps to do this, which is basically like go into settings, click on sound, click on voice directions, tap record new voice, and then it'll kind of prompt you of make a left turn here, make a right turn here, and then if you wanted to, I can see why you would want to, but I can't see why your friend would want to. But like I could send my voice to you.
See, that's the other thing is I don't
So
know if I want to hear directions from myself. I got a pretty large ego, but not that big of an ego that I want to actually hear myself give myself directions. I, I I do see this being enticing of having
I
somebody
don't
else's
know.
voice though.
Who do you trust more than yourself?
Well, I'm just saying, we could. I'm looking at this as a female aspect that I could have somebody else as if she's in the car with me now, telling me, "Hey, this is how you get there."
Mm,
That sounds enjoyable. No, is that comforting at all?
eh, eh.
Or
You're going a different direction with this.
what if?
I'm just imagining you're in the car, right? You're driving, and you're one of those things where like it's hot. You're trying to get somewhere, you don't know where you're going, and then you make a wrong turn, but then it's you telling you, but like with a big sigh,
Oh, recalculating.
make a U-turn.
Uh, I like
And
that
then like
idea.
you're just like, man, I disappointed myself. Oh, this is the worst.
Well, what if it was with cartoon voices? Like, what if it was Archer or Royland from Rick and
Well,
Morty?
Waze has done that in the past, so you kind of went a direction with that, where I'm sure you could record the other voices, and that could definitely be fun. Maybe even like a cast of characters. I don't know how
Kid,
extensive it is, but
are
yeah.
is the dialogue like I suppose adjustable? Like I suppose you could have different things for take a U-turn. It could just be say, "Hey, take a U-turn," or it could be, "Hey, you bleep, take a U-turn. What's wrong with you?" Hey,
Oh, I'm pretty sure that there's not. It's not like Waze is monitoring this. I'm pretty sure it could be like, hey, for the like,
oh,
here's the spot for take a U-turn, and you could say accelerate to 88 miles an hour and go back to the future.
oh, man, see that's a cool. I don't know.
I don't think there's any
maybe
rules
I
here.
would say maybe that last example wasn't a good one. Maybe maybe they were not going to have this for much longer. After somebody programs someone else's phone and they're like, "Oh, it said to speed up." uh,
I'm just doing what the nice lady said.
but all in all, I think it's a cool feature. And in 2018, it feels like something we should be capable of doing. And now we have the ability to do it. I don't know why we need it or why we want it, but it's out of everything else we can do, this feels like something we should also be able to do.
Just a little fun thing for for all the listeners out there that are just kind of like, hey, I'd like to listen to something different than that kind of little scary robot voice.
Well, speaking of driving and I suppose police officers, spinning off the topic before, a has this trailer been found yet? The ramen truck. Uh,
No, it's on the
it's
loose.
still on the loose. So if you guys are out
Yeah,
there and do we know the whereabouts? Like the last it was seen
it was in Georgia.
in Georgia. All right. So for all our East Coast, I don't know. It's probably not even there anymore. But the story is, and this is a true story. This is a real news story here. That there was a trailer with $98,000 worth of the like 99-cent pack ramen noodles was stolen and is still missing to this day right now. Uh,
Yeah,
98,000.
just 2 weeks ago.
That's
Yeah,
a ridiculous amount of. I mean, how? I don't even know
this
if
is
it
a
sells for
53
99
foot
cents. I think it sells for
trailer.
less.
This is like a big old truck. Like this wasn't like a guy's pickup truck. Like this was like the whole 18-wheeler, man.
Yeah, so I don't think you can just. How do you just get up and steal this? Like, I don't think you can do an Italian job with a big trailer like that.
I mean, that's what I'm wondering. Was this some sort of inside job situation?
It
You got
has
you
to
got to
be.
be able to know how to drive a big truck. So right off the bat there, gotta be something.
All right, let's take it one step more.
Well,
Do you think they
all
were?
right. All right. Yeah,
Do you
let's see
think
where you're going.
no, do you think they were targeting this truck, or there was another truck that had
That was
some
gonna be
other
my
value?
question.
And then they're like, God
Because
damn,
I'm
this thing's
thinking
full of
a
just
truck
ramen
full of
noodles.
ramen has got to be way less in value than a truck full of almost anything else.
Yeah, it's just a large space of pennies.
Or was this on purpose?
It's an
Do they have a guy? Do they have a guy ready? They got a ramen guy. And he's like, hey, nope, I can't do anything with TVs. No, I can't do anything with iPhones. No, those are too hot. Oh, man, come on, man. What can you do? Yo, it's gonna sound weird, but yo, ramen noodles. I can work with that. You give me some ramen noodles, I can flip that for you for a good price.
Yeah, I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy who robs a guy. Yeah, I got a ramen guy too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Going on.
All right, so
Keep your eyes out.
I think we're more or less in agreement here, and I'm just putting words in your mouth of they definitely did not want to steal the ramen truck. Like they were definitely after something else.
I don't.
This sounds like such a
I don't
large
think so.
task to steal right now. Then why would you target that one? Like, you're already gonna do this. Why not get something with much more valuable items in there? Like 98K is a lot, but I don't think unloading ramen is I just can't imagine that being an easy thing for the value of each package.
I'm wondering. we, and we kind of went right past this pretty fast. But were the contents not even a concern? Were they just looking for the 18-wheeler?
They just wanted the truck. I guess yeah. That makes actually a lot more sense than everything. They were just after the truck. They didn't even care what was in it. Maybe
I
they
mean,
tossed it all. Maybe there's $98,000 of ramen noodles just on the side of the road somewhere that literally fell off the back of the truck. I, it just to me this $98,000 of ramen noodles it feels like a whole trailer truckload of pennies. Like that's basically what it is. Like it's just a big mound of pennies in the back of this truck. it's it's like it's
maybe
like
a
the
little
Scrooge
lighter.
McDuck, but it's all pennies. Where he goes like swimming through all the money. It's just that though. It's not even an enjoyable amount. It's just a gross amount of nothing.
You're just swimming in ramen with
Uh,
or without flavor packets.
uh, well, that was a fun topic. And this is another kind of feel good topic. Hopefully, everyone's enjoying the podcast. Thank you, as always, for listening. Make sure you check out the website, lcalcb.wordpress.com, and check out Sold by Will for all your San Diego real estate needs. And if you have time after all of that, then you can check out Zach's Twitter name, which is
Wicked Z-Man 24. Actually, I don't know what's going on there, but I'm losing followers left and right. I need you guys got to come back.
I. I don't think you're losing followers. I think they're cracking down on fake followers. I think that's trending downward.
That's also a rumor that I've heard, but yeah, they're going away. I need to get back up to triple digits to have some respectability.
Yeah. So fire up your fake accounts, guys, and get back on it.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Come back.
but transitioning into the restaurant industry here, this is another Twitter thing that's trending right now, and it's a cool trend. I don't know if I'll entirely support it, but as somebody who's worked in the restaurant industry for a long time, this is definitely something I can get behind. And the hashtag is it's tip the tip. So the idea is when you receive your bill, your final bill, the section where you write in the tip, you write in the exact number of the total. So you're paying literally double. Half of it is going to the restaurant, the other half is going to the server. It's kind of crazy, and I've seen some really, really crazy amounts, and I'm not that financially well off to be doing those amounts. But I can see smaller amounts being like, hey, restaurant people, say depending on how you are. If you either understand or you don't, you're either on the inside or you're not. some people are taken care of, some people are not. I think this is something that's just trying to take care of people more across the board. And all in all, I think that's a good thing. Tipping is we've talked about it on the podcast before. I don't think there's really enough of a defined knowledge of tipping, of what's kind of appropriate, what's right, what's not okay. So hopefully this just endorses more and more that you should do some research on this, and you should understand, 20% if there's food served is pretty standard. 15% is okay as well. But you got to tip. You got to tip. So I think this is more of a trend just to let people know, take care of your service. All right. It's a service. They're not making a whole lot outside of these tips. So this is all they're getting. But thoughts on that? Thoughts on tip to tip?
I went a different direction with this and was wondering, people are just doing this for attention. Does the helping someone else out overdo the, like, hey everybody, look at me on social media, look what I did? Like, does it even out? Is that good?
You don't have to share it. You can just gladly take the tip and say thank you.
But do you think people are doing that? It feels like there's a whole hashtag involved with it.
There's a hashtag involved, but I think the hashtag is a lot more to the trend that people should do it, not that they're getting famous off of sharing it.
But aren't they kind of getting, because it's kind of a viral thing?
I don't think everyone is, though, and I don't think...
It's not like it's bad. It's not like if you do it, it's bad. It's just I'm wondering the people's motivation. If I'm wondering, should that matter at all?
All right, well,
let me do something nice for someone, but it's specifically just to get people to pat you on the back online.
Well, I absolutely have an answer for this. This is not the worst thing being posted or trending across the world right now.
Oh, for sure.
This is why. I'm going to say that by far wins this entire argument right now, being like, this is probably a lot better than any of the dancing or any of the twerking or the Tide Pod challenge. Like this is at least like a more or less healthy thing for everybody, unless you're not financially responsible, which is a whole other thing. Yeah, how many of these tip the tip things do you think bounce back after over withdrawn here?
oh man. See now that's like, because now I'm wondering if this even further of, how you get two copies. You get your copy and you get the so it's like you sign for like the normal, like the 15% tip on the restaurant copy, and then on your own one you do the tip the tipper and you make yourself like look all cool, and then we're really right back where we started. People trying to look cool online really aren't that cool in real life. Circle of life.
Oh, but if you don't look cool online, you can't actually be cool. All right, your online presence is entirely a response of who you truly are.
Yeah. Well, it's cool. I hope that it works out. Like you said, there's way worse stuff going on, and it's more just like a deeper discussion about like anytime if you're giving somebody money for a service, like you're taking care of that person. I just took it like a little, like a couple steps further and just like
yours is probably more accurate. Mine is more of the hope of maybe this will get the idea. Like I know there's bad tippers out there. They may not listen to the show because we talk about this frequently, but we all know that there's somebody in our lives who's a bad tipper, and we all know who that person is, and it's a tough thing to explain to somebody or even tell or call out on. So hopefully a trend like this would at least spark them that there's somebody out there paying double and you can't even pay this much. That's kind of where I was going with it. But I don't know. You're probably right where half of them are probably fake. Some of them probably aren't even real, and who knows. But all in all, I hope it's for the better. It's not quite a tough decision to make. Now, a tougher decision is another thing that I've seen trending of recent right here, and it's the debate between Cornbread or Biscuits. I've been seeing that more. I saw it on ESPN where it finally got a lot more attention on there. But we don't need to spend a whole lot of time on this. It's a pretty easy answer. So, are you in agreement with me? Well, what do you think? Cornbread or Biscuits?
I didn't really have like a solid. Like can't you like both on this? Is this one of those ones you really got to be one way, like all the way one way or all the other? Because I got a little bit of a discussion.
I mean, it's your podcast. Feel free to add whatever you want. And if you want to,
Well, see, I'm thinking if it's just straight up like all there is there's like a pile of cornbread and there's a pile of biscuits. I think I'm going with the cornbread.
Ooh.
But if you're putting something on the biscuits, like the sausage and biscuits you make for breakfast, like oh, then for sure I'm going biscuits because that comes with the sausage. That's a whole meal.
Yep.
Where cornbread's just like, I mean, you can have cornbread like you get out of work, like you have a slice of cornbread like real quick, but like that's not dinner. I don't think you could say do the same thing with a biscuit, but I feel like you could pour stuff on the biscuit.
Yeah. All right. Let me say this though.
So well, yeah, what do you got?
It's not an easy decision. It's pretty hard because I don't think either are very easy to make personally, and I'm looking at that as a guy who likes to cook. I've 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 never tried to make biscuits, and they're not the easiest thing to make. It's really tricky to get like the butter layers all done. It's got a ton of butter in it. Newsflash: it's not very healthy. Uh, versus cornbread, on the other hand, there's a lot of different varieties of it, but nothing's worse, I think, than dry cornbread. Uh, so with all that being said, I think the positive additions of everything else you said with the biscuits makes me kind of lean towards the biscuit because I want the gravy with it. I want to make a breakfast sandwich out of it. I'll have I don't know jam on it, whatever. There's a whole variety of other things you can add to the biscuit. Um, and I think that you can buy the little prepackaged roll, and it's pretty solid. The what is it, Pillsbury? I think it's Pillsbury. The
Yeah,
tubes
yeah.
pretty
Oh
easy
yeah.
to make. I'm sure there's some cornbread mixes out there that are standard, but I'm pretty happy with that
Yeah.
Pillsbury biscuit. So I think I'm gonna
You
go
get the
with
job done,
biscuit.
man.
I think I'm gonna go with biscuit though. Um, plus, if also I'd like to think at some point in my life I've had a really good slice of cornbread and a really good biscuit. That really good biscuit, that homemade biscuit, was a lot better.
All right. When you next time you come back out, you'll have to have Hannah, my friend Hannah, our friend Hannah, cook you a bake you up. I don't know exactly what the term is. Some cornbread. She makes some really good cornbread.
Ooh, cornbread's
Maybe
good.
yeah, maybe you just haven't had
Maybe I just haven't had that good of cornbread.
she's from the south. She's got the secret, which I'm pretty sure the same secret is there's a bunch of butter in it. It's really not a healthy option.
Yeah, it's yeah. I remember I saw like one of the post interviews after Anthony Bourdain passed away, and
Hmm.
he had like his like top three secrets of restaurant life, and I remember just one of them was you were completely unaware of the amount of butter that's in every meal. I remember that was like one of the rules is you have no idea of just how much butter every restaurant is just throwing in everything. So yeah, it may be as simple secret as that. You'd have to ask her this question as well. You think she's a cornbread or a biscuit person? I think if you're from the
I don't
south,
know.
you definitely. I think that's a much more frequent dish over there. I think you're going to see that much more frequently
I don't know. Yeah,
served in
maybe we'll
meals.
have to. Yeah, well, I'll have to do some research. Maybe she'd be willing to come on briefly and discuss.
Yeah, probably not, but you could still find out.
Yeah.
Moving on to after you get your cornbread and your biscuits, you need some sort of beverage to go with it, and again, a very new and unique take on Heineken and Lagunitas have partnered up, and they have these hi-fi hop beverages now. I don't know if you could actually call it a beer. I don't know, but the unique thing about this is that they have replaced the alcohol with cannabis. So I think it's got like 10 milligrams or something like I don't know what the dosage. But this is a real thing. This is happening, and I think when I sent this to you, your first comments were you were shocked that this big of a company was kind of behind this, and I guess more or less ahead of the game on this sort of production. Uh, is that still your thoughts? What do you think? Is this something that's going to be around for a while? Is this the future?
I don't know if it's the future, but I think that just as more states legalize it, I can see more companies trying to get involved in it, and I just feel like I've seen most of of the the marijuana companies just in that whole sphere of just across the board on the growing, on the manufacturing, have just been more startups or just kind of more on the fringe. Where this is like, oh, Heineken, like everybody knows Heineken, and just thinking, oh, if they get behind this, they've got some money. Does this push the legalization to happen faster, as well as that? there's a big jump between something you consume out of a can or out of a bottle and something that you consume in other forms, whether you're eating it or you're smoking it. And I think that if it's also in a can, just kind of getting over that social aspect of like, hey, what? Hold on, it's like, oh no, like I'm doing the same thing you are. We're both just drinking out of this can. It's just we're getting somewhere, but basically the same way where
we're both gonna be much happier after we finish our
rather
cans.
than one person's drinking out of a can, if another person's smoking, the can, and when you drink something, it really doesn't bother anybody, but the smoke in the air, that can definitely, it can fill up an area and can be
Well, it draws attention. It draws much more attention than
yeah,
somebody just
and
holding a can.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's interesting. It's really interesting out here in California to see the development of this. There's now a restaurant that's serving. Um, it only has CBD oil in it. It doesn't have actual THC in it. So it's not truly this. I think this actually has THC in it. So that makes it like legitimately it is what you think it is versus we don't need to get into the science of it all. I'm not even the right person to be talking about all this. I just think it's cool that hey, this is happening. This is really happening. Look how far we've come. This went from being a taboo kind of thing, and not even that long ago, and now it is being more or less mass produced and kind of socially acceptable. So that's more of my point of this story.
No, it's definitely going to be interesting because I feel like we're really living through some major change that is if it continues the way that it's going, it'll be something that that you're talking to people about in 20 to 30 years about like, oh yeah, I remember before, like this was not a thing at all, and how there's probably still some sort of um social issue with it probably even then, and just kind of how it gets further and further away from just like, hey, yeah, this is just something that goes on.
I think just the more and more, similar to like the NFL concussion protocol, the more and more education we learn about it, I just think that'll be better. And it's so much easier to access that sort of information and knowledge now that it's if you don't know enough about it, it's kind of on you. And I think the more and more we get farther into the future here, the more and more I think people become much more familiar with this kind of booming up and coming industry. But I have no idea what the future is. I have no idea where this goes. I just think it's exciting that there's something like that out there. But speaking of education, um, there's different forms of education. There are actual schooling educations. There's business education. There's college education, and there's Fortnite education, which I, yeah, I don't know what Fortnite truly is. I'll be honest. I know it's some sort of addicting game that has taken over the world and is just ruining kids' lives left and right, or maybe giving kids lives left and right. I have no idea. But there is now a company that is offering tutors for Fortnite. And Zach is going to somehow explain the rest of the story to you because I don't know where else to go with this. So how do you get a tutor, and why are people getting tutors? Is this really a necessary thing?
Well, Fortnite is a video game. It's a free video game. I believe you can get it on all of the major consoles. Uh, but the main attraction is this kind of battle royale format where it's 100 people start off. They stick you on an island, uh, and I've never played, so this is just on all the stuff that I've just picked up along the way. Is you can pick up weapons, you can build stuff, and every so often the island gets a little smaller until it kind of forces you to interact. Uh, uh, so you keep continuing, you go, and then until there's one guy left, and then that guy's the winner. Apparently, it's like you said, super addicting to the point where, yep, there are parents that are willing to pay tutors to try to make their kids better at it. As a, it seems to be as like a social standing. It's like if you aren't good at Fortnite, like, you're not going to be cool at school. I think I might be oversimplifying this a little bit,
Oh
but
man.
it seems to be very much like a self-esteem sort of thing of like, oh, yeah, I'm so bad at this, like no one wants to hang out with me. Mom and dad, can you help me out? And it's like, I guess so. All right, yeah, here's some lessons. So
I I have there has to
at,
be some sort of
at
actual
first,
skill developed from this, right? Like this can't all just be useless knowledge that they're gaining out of this. There has to be some sort of strategy or independency or even like
it
just dedication to
or
something.
teamwork,
Yeah. There
definitely
has to be
teamwork.
something.
Yeah, at first look, I was kind of like, wait, really? Like, you're gonna pay for for video games? That just is such like a foreign concept to me. But as more and more uh social life and just life in general goes online, and they were saying they're paying $20 per hour for this lesson. So say you have the kid come over to teach your kid, for for over a week, come over for an hour for 5 days. So that's $100. Is that really a ton different than paying $100 to like play basketball?
See, I didn't even look at it as that. I looked at it as more of this is hopefully going to boost your kid's hierarchical value within like the high school drama. All right, it's gonna make your kid cooler. I think is what the goal of this was. So I'm essentially viewing this as like you're buying your kid Jordans, which are a lot more than $100, and probably have
Yeah. Oh,
no
that's a
actual
yeah.
skill
That's
value of it at all. There's no.
I guess yeah. That's another way of another way to look at it. Because like I said, I may have oversimplified it as like, oh, this is just a try to make your kids cool. It could be like a little bit like, hey, this is the social interaction. Okay,
All
you're
right,
not buying. We're not buying you,
all right.
a baseball glove. We're gonna pay for this, and this is what we're
Let,
gonna do.
let's go what one more step here. There's not a whole lot here because we're both two terrible people to talk about. I don't play. I assume you don't
Yeah.
play. So we were by no means any expert of this, but who do you think the experts are? Because I as far as this is like primarily a kid game, right? Are adults really all about
I
this
mean,
as well?
not. Oh yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So because that was the
It,
thing, I was wondering, are we having like the other neighbor's kid coming to teach your kid? Like, are you just buying a friend for an
I
hour
mean,
here, or is it actually like an adult who? I don't know if
I
that
would
makes it
think it wouldn't.
more or less awkward for you to have an adult over
I
with your
would
kid
think
to
it
play video
wouldn't
games with.
be. I wouldn't think it would be an adult. And just my thought is, this game came out uh like last year, but like really took off in September when out with that battle royale mode. So I'm thinking, like you or me, it's like, hey, I gotta work most of the time. I don't have time to really be like going on this. I'm the one that's got the money from doing, my day job. That I'd be the one having to buy the tutor to teach me how to play. I'm thinking it's like a college kid that's like, yo, I got all the time in the world. I'm messing around with this. I don't think it like when you say a kids game. I mean, it's video games, so there's always some aspect of it. But I mean, you're trying to kill people, so there's a semi-serious kind of thing, like a Call of Duty sort of feel to it. But so I don't know if I'd call it like a kids game.
All right,
It's just
this is the most I've ever
anything
heard about
anything
this
that's
game.
super new is gonna be like the young, like, hey, I'm into this new video game. Well, I am 14 and I got a bunch of time to kill.
So I've know very little about this game, but I just did hear this recently, and I don't know if it's entirely true. But with the new Galaxy Note 9, which is the latest Samsung smartphone release, that I think just happened this week, last week, at some point, like just recently this month. One of their features in it, I remember reading like some reviews on it because I was considering looking at the phone and possibly getting it. Was it came with like a bunch of Fortnite, I don't know, money, coins, points, or whatever
Okay.
value
Yep.
on the phone. So you're enticing people to buy this brand new, very, very expensive phone and offering a benefit of a game that to me has no actual value at all, but to maybe an addicted, this is a big step up. You get a brand new phone and you get all these extra bonus points in this game. um, so maybe that really is of value because I kind of laughed at that as like, oh, it comes with Fortnite on it or with like a premium account or
Yeah.
something, and I was like, what does that mean?
But
Who's that for?
there is a monetary value to it. So if you're into it, here's a way you could make it. And I don't think, at least so much on the phone, a little much. But I know last year when I bought my PS4 and went to get the NBA 2K18, part of like what tier of game you bought, whether you bought like the basic, the silver or the gold had all to do with the bonus, virtual currency that you would use in the game. And so some people are more, yep, I'm willing to grind it out, and then other people are like, nah, I'm willing to pay a little more so I can kind of start a little farther ahead.
Yeah, well, this has been a fun podcast. You're listening to Little Column A, Little Column B, hosted by Will Limonos and co-hosted by Zach Bishop. We've talked about Fortnite for way too long, and I don't imagine there's no listeners we have that are also playing Fortnite, right? Like if you play Fortnite, you either play Fortnite or you listen to podcasts. I don't think you do both. That's a strong assumption.
I don't know. I bet that there's some parents that are listening that know a lot more about Fortnite than we do.
Hey, well, I have nothing against it.
I can't be sure though.
I suppose I'm just that far on the outside of it. But this has been a fun show. Make sure you check out the website lcalcb.wordpress.com. Check out Sold by Will for all your San Diego real estate needs, and also check out Zach's Twitter. And make sure you follow him again. All right, get those fake accounts back up. The Twitter name is
WickedZman24. No, they got rid of all my fake ones apparently. I need real people.
Well, no. I'm going to get the real people to make fake ones so you can get those back.
Okay. Someone's going to lose me. This is going to be a circle. I got you.
You just got to start doing all the trends here, all right? You got to start playing Fortnite. You got to start hashtagging tip the tip. You got to, retweet other trending things.
I guess I got to get more active.
Well, I don't know. Twitter is weird. You either have some exclusive in and are able to share it with everyone, or you don't. Or you have an opinion that could be funny or valuable to most. Or disagree with so strongly that people want to disagree with you so regularly that they're just following you to disagree with you. Well, yeah, social media is great. Social media is great, but I think that's all in all a positive thing that you are getting real followers and not the fake ones, all right? Because the fake ones never retweet you, they don't respond to you, and it just feels like you have this large sum of people never doing anything. Small groups, slow grow. It's all going. But we got about 1 minute.
Going nowhere but up.
We got about 1 minute left on the podcast here. You got anything else you'd like to add?
Yes, I got a little teaser. On the next pod, Will and I are going to unveil our top 5 favorite TV bars that we would like to drink at.
Yeah,
so
on the next. We'll open.
Make sure that you check that out.
We'll open the next one. Yeah. So if you got any famous TV bars you want to send us our way, you think that they should be ranked appropriately, we'll break that down in the next podcast. Hopefully next week.
I will be happy to ignore all of them. I got my list. I'm ready to go.
Yeah. Just keep tweeting at them. All right. We'll be back.